Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Hope you guys are doing great. Thanks for joining us again for another live trading session. We are here in the Discord channel getting ready for our Tuesday morning scrum. Of course, as always, guys, if you like the channel, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, leave me a comment. I love the comments, guys. Honestly, it's the super nice comments that you guys have been leaving that have really inspired me to kind of get my poop in a group and, start doing more of this. So thank you. I really appreciate that. The internet can be a very toxic place, but you guys are cool. I like you. All right. So this morning, what do we have going on? Well, we've got a gap up from yesterday's wildly bullish activity. It was just a bleed upwards that could not stop. So some of the cool things, we breached our gap from our drop down into this consolidation zone that we've been kind of hanging out in for a while. And our overnight high touched just above it. So now our overnight session is just kind of hanging out right smack dab in the middle of it as we're getting closer to opening bell. And yeah, things are looking bullish, but we are in gap rules this morning. For those of you who don't know what the gap rules are, if you head on over to our Discord, I make sure that there is a link to those. I get them from Shadow Trader, the Shadow Trader. If you haven't checked him out, he's really cool. Would highly recommend that. Super educational content and pretty smart guy. Other than that, I will try to remember to add a link to the gap rules at the bottom of this video, just so that way it's, a nice, neat place for you guys to access. So we're going to be looking to see if the gap tries to fill immediately this morning or if we run away from it. Oftentimes when we have these kinds of gaps, we do look for the fade play or at least a good risk to reward position for the fade play. Given the bullishness of yesterday's activity and that we've got some Fed events kind of spattered out throughout this week, it would seem that the odds of some continuation of this activity to correct for some of the weaker structure that we left in the wake of this drop is probably on the table for today. So we do have a VPOC that is just above the gap and our overnight high. What level is that? It is the 374.75. Our upper target is just below it. And also, a point of interest, there is a huge concentration of calls opened up at the 375 level. That is a big change from yesterday. Yesterday, there was not many calls opened up at all. We were actually very, very bearish to start off the day. But as we could see, that definitely changed when a lot of shorts closed their positions and, some new people came out to play. Now, of course, with that call concentration, we don't know for certain if those are long positions or short positions, because remember, if you sell a call, you are short. If you buy a call, you are long. So even though calls are playing the long side, depending on whether you are a buyer or a seller of that option, will determine whether you are short or long. But with a concentration up there, that does give me more hope that we are going to be doing some repairing today and see if we can maybe jump that gap and get back into some of the levels up above. Of course, if that does not happen, some of the levels that we can look to below, we do have a VPOC from 928 that is just a little bit above our gap from today. So it could be entirely possible that we see activity retrace to that touch and go, and then we get some balancing, right up in the top portion, maybe a late day run if it refuses to actually fill that gap. And if we do close the gap and find ourselves back in yesterday's value zone, we do have the point of control from yesterday that we would ideally see taken care of before we actually do start any movement upwards. But of course, this market's been super volatile, so whenever it does eventually start its moves out of consolidation, we kind of expect it to leave a VPOC or two in its wake. For those of you playing the home game, VPOCs are virgin points of control. They are concentrations of volume in trading days that were not touched in the following day's trading activity. Wow. So a VPOC there in turn would be a point of control in a day's trading range that we moved too far away from down or up and never really addressed it during real-time trading hours. All right, we've got just a couple more minutes before we start off today. This is not going to be as long a stream as some of my other days. Tuesdays, I do have clients that I meet with a little bit earlier in the late morning, early afternoon. So generally speaking, I'm wrapped up by 10:45 on Tuesdays. So it's a little bit different than normal. Most days I go to 11:30, depending on how the trading activity is. So yeah, we'll see if we can get something good or if there's any early plays we can take advantage of and call it a day pretty quick. All right, sit tight, guys, because trade's about to start. All right, just about go time. Also, I apologize for the quality of my voice today. I'm a little congested. Temperature's been getting a lot colder here lately, and with the shifting of the seasons, my head likes to fill itself with phlegm. So we're just going to get through that. Oh, and that's the bell. We're off. When I disabled that sound, I wonder if it disabled it for both of my setups. Interesting. Okay. So far, we don't see any immediate retreats. Of course, I also don't have the correct contracts open to take advantage of any potential moves because I'm just that much on the ball. All right, we've got our contracts open now. Our long entry line is right up here. Activity is looking a little muted. Doesn't seem like it's sure what it wants to do quite yet. All right, here we go. Break of the opening high. Put call ratio is in bullish territory opening up this morning. Looks like the play was to go long at our long entry line. If nothing else, could have gotten a nice scalp. Let's see. Some signals that we kind of got there, looking back a little bit. The push down really wasn't getting much below our opening candle. So we could have taken that as a hint to at least enter there. We would have had a good risk to reward location. All right. So we did smash into that overnight high, got a little pushback there, some mechanical selling. We're going to monitor here, see what happens. If we don't lose the level immediately here, then we probably are going to try and jump in long at a good spot and see what happens. Just putting some support and resistance lines because we had some pretty clear signals from the morning or the first opening range. Put call ratio still staying pretty bullish. All right, starting to get our first 5-minute bars on our tick charts, our advanced decline, our breath ratios. Might have another consolidation zone here. And kind of see where this high goes to and then where the next push down goes. Of course, this could still just be the first opening move as well. We won't really know that for certain for a little bit. Ideally, we do want to see this give us a little bit of a consolidation zone to start kind of making our play off of. I never feel comfortable trying to enter into a move as it's moving. It's just not my style. Although you can definitely get some really good scalps playing those. You just have to be very cognizant of where your exit point is. Because if you end up trying to, play into a move and it does start to consolidate on you, if you're playing options contracts, you're going to get chewed on by theta. The theta burn, as it is referred to. All right, we are getting a little bit of consolidation at the very top of that range. Seems to be an accumulation campaign at this level. Don't feel comfortable buying in up here. It's just a little bit too much for me. We're going to put a trend line in, though. All right. Well, looks like the overnight high is acting like a little bit of support there. Trend line definitely held up to scrutiny. Still got that consolidation happening in the top of the range. That trend line touch may have been our good entry long, but we won't know till we know. Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Yep. Looks like the touch of that trend was, in fact, our good entry point. Hooray! No worries. I'm actually not going to be here super long myself this morning. Got a couple earlier-ish clients today. Well, good news, everyone. We're about to hit our upper target for the day. And me not in a long position. Nice. There it is. All right, so we broke out of that range. We're going to be looking for a pullback to play long to, especially if that trend line ends up holding again. That'll be a good entry for us. Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining us. So far, we're just kind of seeing some short covering, a little bit of buying. Nobody's really selling this morning yet. I mean, I kind of don't blame them. Yesterday was a absolute trying to figure out what word to use. Bears got slaughtered. We'll just leave it at that. And I almost got crushed trying to play a short position yesterday. Kept waiting for that corrective period, because, to heck with the fact that the market was pointing straight up. Fortunately, did end up getting out of it with hitting my daily goal, but it was it was not good. Not my best moment. But you got to recognize those things, right? You can't mistake dumb luck for playing smart. If you start, mistaking dumb luck for playing smart, you're going to get full of yourself, and then the market is absolutely going to humble you. Ask me how I know. Good morning, sir. Welcome. Wow, got a pretty full group going on today. Loving this. So, I mean, everything's looking pretty super bullish this morning. We didn't have any real attempt at repairing the gap. We've already bursted our overnight high. We're slamming against our upper target today. We've got our VPOC just up ahead. There's a huge concentration of calls at 375. We aren't just going to try and jump in up here, of course. We're anticipating bullish activity, but we're going to look for a better spot to enter. If we do get another touch of that trend line and the trend line doesn't break, potentially that'll be a good spot for us to enter. If we get a test of the VWAP, or if we get an attempt to push back towards that previous resistance, that also might be a good spot for us to enter. If we start dropping levels, though, like if we return to that second consolidation area or even the first, we'll probably be a little bit hesitant about jumping into any positions at that point, just because then we might be looking for a second attempt by sellers to try and fill that gap. So today should be some easy trades, but definitely make sure you're paying attention to your risk to reward locations. Don't just jump in all willy-nilly. I know it feels bad missing out on days that just keep moving in one direction and can't really figure out where your entry point is, but I mean, you get in on the wrong side of days like that and you're going to hurt yourself. Yes, sir. Yep, I know. We were talking about that yesterday. So this may look like weak action and activity, just if you're looking at price bars. But if you see the amount of volume that's flooded in that short period of time, that tells us that there's a lot of trading going on right there. So essentially, there's buyers still on the charge, but they have encountered a wall of supply, and that wall of supply really hasn't pushed the lows lower than what this climb has been seeing. So that's also very telling for what kind of activity we've got going on this morning. Yep, and there it is. They've popped through that wall of supply. We're about to get that VPOC correction. Jeez, the rocket ship that can't stop won't stop. This is cool. We're starting to get into our previous trading activity from where we dropped through. We're through the gap, guys. It's gone. That gap is gone. So that's cool. We are going to adjust our long entry line here. And we've got two nice thin spots in the volume profile that have built out from this charge. So those are going to be our targets for entry. Or potentially the point of control. We'll see how everything develops. Of course, we'll also see if it just keeps running away without us and we're kind of SOL. Oh, geez, I just noticed we did get a touch of the trend line when I was just kind of babbling on. Totally missed it. Good job, Dan. Good job. Gotta stop doing that. I was even saying that. I said, oh, yeah, if we get another touch of that trend line, that'll be a good risk to reward entry. And here I am, not even paying attention to my own words. Could have gotten a nice scalp off that right above the VPOC. Oh well, it's in the past. That play's done and gone. We're looking for the next one. I would be hesitant to enter on the next touch of the trend line, just because that's three solid touches now. It doesn't mean that it won't bounce off of it again. If we do get another bounce off of it, then I mean this is just a super strong trend, and you would absolutely be crazy trying to fight it or guess the top. But if we do get some break of that trend, that'll be good to see some corrective activity. Then we can kind of figure out where the market may be trying to balance for the morning session. And then we can try and find an extreme low off that balance area to enter into. And that'll be a good, strong entry point for us. Oh no, my music stopped. Hold, please. All right, there we go. Some electronic focus music going on in the background, stimulating those brain waves. Does it have any effect? I don't know. I like it. Yeah, we're getting another little consolidation spike area, and now the next move. Yeah, it's kind of been the MO this morning, right? Move up, bull flag, move up, bull flag, move up, bull flag. I mean, there's definitely been a lot of effort going into these up moves. We can definitely see that on our Weiss waves. So there's effort being put forth. But here's the thing. There's no counter selling. There's nobody selling against these moves. So that momentum's just building and building and building. So, just keep an eye on that trend line. If it don't break, it don't wanna. Because a lot of times when we are looking at channels trend lines, we treat them as rising or falling supports and resistances. And there's a golden rule, right? It's only going to knock on support or resistance so many times before somebody lets them in. But when you have situations where there's very one-sided trading, you can see the exact opposite. It'll just keep knocking on that door all day, and there's nobody home. So they don't bother to let them in. If nobody's home, they can't let you in. So until we find an actual falling support, we're just going to assume nobody's selling this market this morning. At least not yet. We're about 9 minutes away from period B, and period A has just not stopped moving upward. We have consolidated at the end range of every single move. That's super bullish in the first period of the day. I mean, we haven't seen that kind of bullish activity since last year. Like, even our recovery days, in this bear market we've been experiencing, we have not seen bullish activity quite like this. Now, this isn't me trying to get you excited saying, buy in, buy in. This is me just saying that this is a divergence from the normal activity that we've been seeing. So take that into context with the larger picture. There has finally been a little bit of news reporting with the word capitulation in it. Now, historically, when we're looking at bear markets, we mark the ends of bear markets by when capitulation finally happens. And the one thing that we hadn't encountered in this just rapidly declining bear market is we hadn't actually reached any levels of capitulation. Now, of course, looking at the activity, did we get capitulation? Well, it's kind of up for debate and what your interpretation is of that. But all I'm pointing out is that there's finally been some media buzz using that word saying, oh, the end might be here. We may have just seen capitulation. And that's the first that I've been seeing anyone reporting of that. So when the sentiment starts to change, remember, there's a huge psychological drive in the market. Bear markets are fed and sustained by fear and uncertainty, while bull markets are fueled by the exact opposite. Do, 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 do. So we will be looking to place our first trade sometime in B period, just because if we don't trade in B period, we're probably not trading today, which is fine. You know, remember, whenever a trading day is going on, you have three options: short, long, stand aside. And those are all completely valid ways to play the activity and the action that you're seeing. And if you're not comfortable, if you're not confident in how you're reading everything, or you feel like you can't catch the specific entry point you're looking for, stand aside. Tomorrow's going to be a new day. You don't have to make money every day. You just have to limit how much money you let yourself lose. That is the true secret to success for trading. All right, so trend has finally broken. Now we should start to see maybe some real balancing, at least for the short term. So we do want to pay attention now to where selling activity kind of brings this to, especially with those thinner areas below us. Should probably have the right contracts up. But you know, that would be way too obvious. And yet again, I have gotten in my own way, more focused on chatting away, filling the empty space with the sound of my voice, than I was preparing to make potential plays. Talking about entering at those short or at those thin areas. Don't even have the right contracts up to take advantage of that. And now I missed the first opportunity to enter. So let's see if the market's kind enough to give me a second opportunity. We are going to go ahead. Now, we're going to leave our 922 VPOC up for now, just because that may be a spot at which the market actually does try to balance. That's the other fun thing about VPOCs. If we don't end up moving super quickly through them, price action does have a tendency to kind of get pinned to them for a bit. Because you think about it, right? That is a former area in which a lot of trade took place. So if we moved below it, that stands to reason that there should be a decent chunk of supply at that area that buyers do have to, buy up before we can continue on, before we can move on. So that does kind of give us a testament to how strong potential buying can be when we blast through a VPOC. Of course, selling, on the other hand, being the exact same. If we blast through a VPOC on the way down, selling is really showing its strength. So now that buying's gotten a little pinned up here, we can see the real story coming into play. I was mentioning earlier how there was a lot of effort going into this up move, and we can see that very clearly on our Weiss waves. But the reason that it hasn't been thwarted or stopped is that there's no new supply really being added at these levels. So buyers are just kind of, they're scooping up the supply at their leisure. So we will kind of be expecting price action to get pinned here for a bit at this point of control, which makes it so we don't want to just kind of jump in and enter now, especially if it does start to consolidate here, because this could take a hot minute before we finally end up moving. So we're going to wait a bit. We're going to see if we get some really good, strong support resistance signals, or we can kind of figure out what kind of pattern it wants to build here. So then we'll have a better idea of where the best extremes are to enter, so we can take advantage of the potential moves inside the channel, or we can position ourselves well for when the break does finally happen. Of course, immediately after I go about saying all that, looks like more buyers are entering. Cool. Like, oh, you've got some analysis, do you? Well, let me show you. Oh, too funny. Could also be a little upthrust event we just witnessed there. Obviously, time will tell. Hold my beer. Oh, I love it. So, right here, guys, this does kind of illustrate the point I was making. With this kind of bullish activity, trying to guess the top is suicide. You're better to just wait if you keep missing the entry for the good long signal. And, if you are going to try and catch any of this garbage short, you got to be prepared to play quickly and know that when the train moves, you get out of the way. Good news is we've got enough activity now. We could probably draw a really solid channel on this. Oh, yeah. Look at that. So at least now we can kind of see where we've been knocking on that resistance, and we've been really sticking to the top half of this upward channel. So this will give us a good gauge when the thrust finally starts to die down, because we have enough information. We can really see, how much effort's going into these buy waves, and it'll give us a really good indication of when the effort may be slowing, if at all, or it'll give us another good line of entry to finally get in on this long. We are just starting B period now, and B period is going on another ripper. Jeez. All right, so we would expect to see activity either kind of bounce off of this here or start to consolidate in a slightly upward move. Breaching above this tells us that there's been a reinvigoration in the amount of activity. Because remember, everything that happened in A period, we've got a perfect channel on A period. So if we start breaching upwards outside of this channel and creating a secondary one, that's going to be telling us that B period is even stronger. And all the traders that were sitting on the sidelines through A period were like, no, I need to get in on this. And then, people start mashing that buy market button, and we start moving up even quicker, and shorts get squeezed even more. I mean, our max pain level is down at 366 right now. We are $10 plus above max pain. So anyone who is short in this market right now, they are feeling a lot of pain. And that is absolutely going to be adding fuel to this fire. Unfortunately, it is looking more and more like the really good plays are going to be in period E and F, and we will be working when that happens. So unfortunately, I'm probably going to miss out on any of the good setups today, but that's okay. Hopefully those of you watching this video, even though I have not taken any trades, are getting something out of it. Some educational content, maybe a few yucks, something you can carry forward into your trading. All right, so B period did calm itself down a little bit. We're back inside that A period channel. Exactly. I'm glad you get it. Long, short, stand aside. All valid. No real deviations this morning. Price and volume have pretty much been right on point. Look at that. That's our first, real effort put in by some selling today. So some sellers did definitely just enter the market after we broke out of the channel. Not a lot, not enough to really, turn the momentum in their favor by any stretch, but there was some that was a solid little push right there. Clearly you can see though that the supply entering did not make a dent in the buyers, at least not at that particular juncture. But that's good. We need the selling. We need liquidation breaks for people to re-enter long and to reinvigorate upward movements when they start to stagnate. So actually, there's another good lesson that we can cover while we're not taking any trades. So if you did get in early on this long move and you're trying to figure out, where to sell, where to take your profits, one thing you should always be cognizant of, paying attention for, is that when the move does actually look like it's starting to stagnate, so in our channel scenario, we would start to really move sideways. We may start breaking through the channel with lateral movement. That's the time where you want to consider taking all of your profit off the table, if not at minimum, some of it, because the market will generally gear up for liquidation breaks. And that's where we have those rapid sell offs where people start taking their profits to bring price back to a spot where people are actually interested in buying again to then kind of reinvigorate, refuel that upward movement. We need those breakdowns to get further movement up. We call that corrective activity when we're looking in market profile. So, big example yesterday, we short squeezed in the morning up to our first consolidation point, and we just spent all that time kind of stagnating right at the very top of the range. And then finally, in period E, we did get the rotation down, that corrective activity, that liquidation break, if you will, where they just barely took out the lows on period C. And then after they addressed that there was no actual selling to be had down there, all current supply had been added, then buying resumed. And what happened? We moved up and we made some new levels. So that's probably something similar that we'll see today if the bullish activity starts up all day, which is why I said that the good plays are probably going to be around period E and period F. All right, potential entry point with good risk to reward coming up. This would be our third touch of this channel bottom. And another really good indicator of just how much strength or lack thereof is in this move. All right, so we did not get a touch there. We actually got a breach. We got a touch off of our 48. That is the first time we've touched our 48 moving average since this started. While it's a good risk to reward location for entry if you're playing long, that gives me pause. We didn't get the touch, but we did get the touch of the 48. This is oftentimes in normal price action flow, the setup for the reversal or the liquidation break or the corrective activity. Pick your poison. So what we're actually going to be looking for here now is movement back up above our moving average. And if we get a third lower peak, probably somewhere right around where that trend line touches, that will actually be a really good risk reward location for a short entry to at least grab a scalp, if nothing more. Because remember, the bulls definitely have been in control all morning. So until we see some actual activity that second guesses that, any short positions we take are going to be strictly focused on just some quick scalps, trying to take that corrective activity, take advantage of that liquidation break, all the while waiting for our better entry long or to see if the market's going to test that to see if it's actually ready to do that. Ooh, we definitely don't want to be buying 10 contracts. Yikes. Yeah, we can see that too with our Weiss waves, right? That the sellers are starting to enter the market. Teetering right on that edge. Now, it's important to note that that buying wave right there, which is about half the size of that selling wave, retook the entirety of that activity. So momentum is kind of hitting a stalemate at the moment. We'll see who gives it a little push next. So if you were trying to short that, I wouldn't grab it now. You want to wait for this to fail if you're going to try shorting it. Yeah, just a little bit of buying effort has pushed back against that momentum. So we do have two spots to be watching for, and those are the spots that initiated some pretty the new selling, right? So the first one's going to be our high of the day. We can see, that ignition candle right there. There's no wick on it at all. So that's how we know it's an ignition candle. And then our next level to watch is actually right here, because this is also where a second round of selling entered the market. And then this is where buyers entered again. All right. Same spot, some selling activity. But we can see a buying ignition candle here. So right now, I say that like you can see my crosshairs. All right, so the selling candle you're seeing right now is competing with that previous ignition candle, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles back. So it's the low of that candle that we want to pay attention to. If that low can't break, then we've got a good argument for getting in long. Here, I'll mark it off. That actually pretty closely lines up with a selling wick right there. So it looks like we've got, finally, a real balance zone starting to build out that we can actually place some good trades into. The channel's kind of starting to disintegrate, and we're getting more horizontal movement now. We're going to leave the channel lines up for now, but I do want to reiterate that it's the horizontal movement that is more important than those channel lines. All right. Hopefully I don't miss any good plays, but I got to step away for a minute. I'll be right back. All right. Oh, good. Didn't miss anything fun. About 13 minutes left before we get into C period. And that will be our last opportunity. By our, I mean mine, my last opportunity to put on a trade for the morning before I need to stop. We've got a lot of market generated information now, so hopefully we should be able to make a pretty smart decision. Seeing some wedging up against that line. Price action coiling right around our currently developing point of control. Oh, the coiling. Whoa, that was a lot of noises right there. All right, so we've got a position right there. We'll see what happens. I'm going to set a safety stop on it. Oh, wow, really? Might be able to give that a little more breathing room. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do, and we'll end up adding to that position down there. We are starting to get a crossover of those EMAs. Sellers are making a move. I'm betting that their move is going to die out and be met with some pretty good buying. Could be wrong, but that's why we have a stop in place. We're going to be looking to add to our position. Let's see what price that would be. Oh, right about there where it just hit. All right. Oh, that is the super thin area. So I don't like that the EMAs have now crossed over. I may have gotten ahead of myself with that position. Would have been a much better entry if I had held off a little bit longer and gotten it closer to this bottom support here. So again, I'm banking on this being a liquidation break and not an actual reversal. So that's the bet that I've made. We'll see if I'm right. That being said, I have taken a long position. Would have felt or would be feeling better about this position if we had taken a sharper bounce off this support. Consolidating down here definitely has me worried. I mean, if you look back at the previous one, right, that's the kind of bounce you want to see to buy. You want to see an aggressive bounce towards the opposite side. All right, hey, thanks for hanging out this morning. We'll catch you later. No, I don't like that one either. Getting close to C period here. About 2.5 minutes to go. That's quite a bit of buying effort there. It doesn't seem to be getting too much progress. But we do still seem to be in a consolidation-ish zone. C period's about to get rocking and rolling here in about 50 seconds. Love to see C period maintain a gap here between B and just start rippity rip ripping. Of course, what I want to see and what's actually going to happen, we'll see. And unfortunately, again, we did not have the best entry on this, so we're kind of sitting at break even right here at this midpoint. Oh, wow. There's some liquid for you. That's not making me feel good. Oh, boy. Let's hope that was just a clear out for C period and have it actually rip now, because C period just started with that. If that wasn't a clear out, well, my long is screwed. Seems to be very small bits of effort that are generating these rather large selling candles. We do still seem to be in kind of a squeezing zone. banging its head at that same little spot. She gonna pop through? All right. Got a little breach of where we were running into some resistance. Yeah, we're going to put a protective stop on this. We've gotten some profit. It just doesn't look like it's going to work in our favor. If it does, cool. If not, well, it is what it is. Probably don't have to be quite as aggressive with the protection. Yeah, we'll move that down a little bit. So if we had better location entry on this, this would have been a really big winner playing the top, playing that resistance there. But because we have such a poor entry, it looks like we're going to end up getting stopped out. Maybe 1 cent, maybe break even. We'll see. I mean, either way, as long as we don't get a huge liquidation break through our stop, we shouldn't lose on the position. But it just stinks because, you look at the action, you look at the activity, and you're like, man, I was right on direction, but my timing, my entry was a little bit poop. And we're still getting some pretty gnarly squeezing in this range. So the odds of it actually breaking out in a way are slightly decreasing. Not impossible, not gone. They're just decreasing a little bit. Although maybe it looks like it's trying to squeeze again. But every time we get that squeeze bubble, it flips red. Need to see it actually breach up through that resistance and then find some buyers at that thin area above us. That's ideally what we need to see for this position to end up kicking some serious butte for us. Wow. Yeah. So like I said, something like that right there, they just cleared us out. And if we had a much better entry point, we wouldn't have gotten cleared out on that. We could have held this a little bit longer. So we took a couple cents in our favor. Ended up selling it for 3 cents, which stinks because, well, I mean, you can see this price action. But I digress. So let's see. We had an average cost of 257 on that. And we probably could have realistically got about 240. I mean, if we were holding 240, yeah, we'd absolutely still be in that position because our stop would be below the support. But anyways, that's going to be it for us for today, guys. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you made some good plays, and I hope you learned some stuff. Definitely looks like the early play going with the refusal to fill the gap was definitely where the money was. And now that we've kind of entered into this, what looks like is going to be start shaping out like a P, yeah, things are getting a little bit choppier, a little bit wilder. Tougher to get in, tougher to get out. Well, easy to get in, easy to get out, just tough to make good money, as it were. But yeah, if you guys stuck around, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Feel free to join us in the Discord. You know, we have fun here. People get to chat with me live while I'm doing this. But anyways, guys, we are up 3 cents on the day, and that's where we're going to be ending. All right, take it easy, guys. Have a good one. Bye.